Hey Nob Hill Nighthawks, this is Module 5, Lesson 17. I know this is going to look a little bit different. I got a cool new document camera. So for this lesson I wanted to use it because we are going to be subtracting using a number line, and I wanted to be able to show you what that looks like being drawn out instead of on the Google Slides, which takes a lot more time to do it that way. Okay, so our objective today is I will be able to use visual models to add and subtract two fractions with the same units, including subtracting from one whole. So that's going to look a little bit different than our last lesson. Okay, so for example, if we had 1 minus 3/8, okay, so notice we are starting with 1 whole minus 3/8. And for us to do this a little bit easier, we're going to convert this 1 to whatever fractional unit we are working with. So because we are working with eighths, we are going to rewrite this as 8/8, because remember, how many eighths do I need to make 1 whole? Well, that all depends on what our denominator is. So we're going to rewrite this as 8/8 minus 3/8. And then we can do that just a little bit easier. That looks more similar to what we were doing in our last lesson. So now our denominator is going to stay the same as 8. And then we do 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. So 1 minus 3/8 is 5/8. Okay? So then the number line that we could use to help us do this, to help visualize, we would draw our number line. Whatever our denominator is, that's what we would break it into. We would break it into eighths. I always like to find my halfway point first. So there's 4/8, 8/8, 0/8, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we started at 8 and we subtracted 3. So I'm going to go count back 3 times, because that would be taking away 1/8 at a time. So we would go 1, 2, 3. So our answer is 5/8. So this is just that visual. You don't have to use the number line, but if you want to help you subtract, if you get somewhere where you're really stuck, then that number line is a good visual to help you subtract. Okay, so 1 minus 3/8 is equal to 5/8. We converted that 1 whole into 8/8 because that's what our denominator was that we were working with. And then the number line is just that visual to help you see it happen. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so here we have 1 minus 7/12. So just like last time, we're going to convert that 1 to whatever fractional unit we're working with. So because we're working with 12ths, this is going to become 12/12 minus 7/12. Okay, so then we can do 12 minus 7, because we know our denominator is going to stay 12. 12 minus 7 gives us 5. So it's easier to subtract those common units rather than looking at that whole number. You could think, well, 7/12 minus 1, I know that I need 12/12, so you could do the thought process in your head, but I know for a lot of us it's easier to see it all broken down. Okay, so we could use that number line to see what happens as well. Like I said, the number line is just there as that visual to help you see what's happening. So we've got 0/12, 12/12, halfway mark is 6/12. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We started at 12 twelfths and we subtracted 7. So we would count back 7 times, landing on our little tick marks each time, because each of these are worth 1/12. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 twelfths, 1 less is 5 twelfths. So we know our answer is 5 twelfths. Okay? When you guys are doing your practice on the Google Slides, the number line is on there. I'm not going to make that a requirement. If you want to do the number line, you can just do it on a whiteboard or paper like I am. Clicking and dragging and setting up the number line on the computer would take a lot of time. Okay? So the biggest thing I want you guys to understand is when we have a whole number, if we want to subtract, we need to convert that to whatever fractional unit we are subtracting from. So if we're working with twelfths, we need to convert that 1 whole into twelfths, and then we can subtract a little bit easier. All right, we'll do another one. Okay, so this one we have 1 and 1/5 minus 2/5. Okay, so if we don't have enough in our fractional unit to subtract the fractional unit, we need to convert that whole mixed number into that same fractional unit. So because we're working with fifths, we're going to change this 1 whole into fifths. And we know that if I'm working with fifths, I need 5 to make that 1 whole. Okay, so this is going to become 5/5. But we also had this 1/5, right? So we need to add those two together before we subtract. So we have 5 plus 1 is going to give us 6/5. So our new subtraction problem is going to become 6/5. Sorry, that light is just right. Whoops. Right there, we're trying to write. So 6/5 minus 2/5. And now we can subtract much easier. So 6 minus 2 gives us 4/5. Okay, so we had the mixed number, but we converted it all into fifths. Don't forget that one that was already there, right? So our 1 whole became 5/5. And then the 1/5 we added into it, which gave us the 6/5. 6 minus 2 gives us 4. Okay. So for this one, I'll show you what it looks like with an area model to help you subtract if you ever want to use that. So we're going to represent what we started with. We had 1 and 1/5. So because we're working with fifths and I have more than 1, I need 2 tape diagrams. Okay, and I'm going to decompose both of them into fifths. Okay, and I know I have 1 and 1/5, so I'm going to shade in that 1 whole plus my 1/5. So I've got 1 and 1/5, and I'm subtracting 2/5. Okay, so I could just cross off 1, 2/5 because that's what I'm subtracting, and now how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/5. Okay, if you understand how to do it just like this in the converting, the visual models aren't a requirement. Okay, they are just there to help you understand what we're doing. We're taking away, we're both of our 1 whole plus our 1/5 are the same units. It's just a resource. Okay, so if you're doing fine doing this with how I'm showing you, then I wouldn't stress over the tape diagrams and number lines. All right, so here's our next one. We've got 1 and 1/4 minus 3/4. Okay, so we're going to convert this 1 to fourths. So I know that this 1 whole is going to be 4/4. So 4/4 plus that 1/4 is going to give me 5/4. Okay, so this 1 whole was worth 4 plus that 1 we already had, 5/4 minus 3/4. Our denominator stays the same. 5 minus 3 gives us 2. My marker's dying on me. And we could also see what that looks like on that number, or in that with the tape diagrams. I'm going to need 2 because I have one whole plus some. I'm going to break both of them into fourths. And then represent how much I have. I've got 1 whole plus 1/4. And how many were we taking away? We're taking away 3. So we could go 1, 2, 3. And left us with 2 of the fourths. Okay, 1 and 1/4 minus 3/4 gives us 2/4. All right, we've got one last one for today. All right, so here we go. So we've got 1 3/8 minus 5/8. So let's convert this mixed number to an improper fraction. So if I'm working with 8s, this 1 whole is going to be worth 8. So I'm going to take those 8/8, and if we wanted to write it off to the side, so we can see, okay, that's worth 8/8. 8 plus 3 gives us 11. So we're going to rewrite this as 11/8 minus 5/8. Now we can subtract. Our denominator is going to stay 8s. We could do 11 minus 5 gives us 6/8. Okay, if you want to use that tape diagram to help you solve, we're going to need 2 because we have more than one that we're representing. We're working with 8, so we're going to break it into 8. And then we have 1 whole. Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, 8s. We had 1 and 3/8. So I've got my 1 whole and 3/8. And we subtracted 5. So we're going to cross out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that left us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 8s. 6/8. Okay. All right. So hopefully doing it slightly different didn't throw you completely off. But like I said, doing all this and the number line on those Google Slides would have taken a really long time. And when you guys get to those practice, you can totally do it on a whiteboard instead of on those Google Slides. The Google Slide practice, I'd much rather just see the correct answer, okay? But when you're working through on the Edpuzzle, as you're watching this with me, practice it a few times. Practice the number line, practice the tape diagrams, because it does kind of help you, and it can help you double check your work as you're going through the subtraction and addition. All right, you guys, great job today. We will see you guys soon. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. Great job.